Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at the updated visuals of 10.2. This is on the public test server. A bunch of different things have changed, and we're going to go through each class and basically what their impression of the changes would look like. This is obviously from a gunboat, my Kleber. I play a lot of it, and we're firing HE, and you can see there's a lot of differences with how all of the different animation is being displayed, created. It's very exciting. And I'm going to obviously highlight different things that I see, and hopefully you guys will notice it as well. Obviously, we're firing HE, and unlike prior to 10.2, the HE itself is exploding with the force of a light source. So you can see sort of the orangeness and the reds lighting up on the hull whenever you attack, which is also very appealing. They also updated AP as well. Now AP is obviously going to look different. It's not going to have sort of an explosion. Instead, it's going to look more like steel is sort of being peeled back, and it's going to penetrate, and until obviously the target is killed off. Every shell type is fully updated, and ooh yeah, catch this! Look at these brand new fire effects. They are totally momentum based, where whether you go left or right or stop or start, the smoke that it's going to be billowing out is going to go in a way that will, fit conducively with the momentum of the ship. You can see fire is being expelled from the ship itself, and when it goes out completely. Very, very cool effects. It works at range as well. One thing that you guys probably have noticed in the game is that the visual detail of a ship is different between your binocular and third person. At range in third person, you can't really see, for example, the smokestacks. And this hurts you in a lot of different ways because it doesn't give you enough of an informed understanding of what's going on. Now, we get a nice torpedo send, and the explosive force looks awesome. You can see sort of the shockwave of the guy who fired his gun. I don't know if you noticed that in the last bit. Obviously, you guys can rotate back and check out. Now we're from the point of view of an aircraft carrier. This is the midway, and you'll notice the flak. Also, notice that the rockets look different. Wargaming wanted to put an emphasis on having every single ability have a tell. So if you have HE versus AP rockets, it's going to have a slightly different hue. They can easily tell. Same with flak bursts. If it's red versus orange, versus the shell itself going in the air, you can tell whether it's using defensive AA or priority sector. So a lot of good improvements across the board. And, I am so excited by the visual flair that's been added. Now here's a high explosive bomb drop. You'll note that the enemy target, he's trying to avoid it. You can see the AA flash as his AA fires. Really cool effect, which I'll obviously explore more. TDs only have so much AA, but having that extra detail that we never had, prior to 10.2, there was no animation on AA, and I think limited on secondary, if at all, and you could even disable that completely. In 10.2, AA automatically patrols, so if you're just sailing at any point in the match, you can look at your AA gun mounts, and they will slightly be traversing. Every 5-10 seconds they'll look left, 5-10 seconds look right, and obviously when they're opening up, they are firing their guns. And you can see, if you look at the ship itself, the AA guns actually firing. You can see the flash. It's a good tell for air to potentially avoid certain sides of the ship, so they don't, immediately take the more potent AA side. For example, if the Soyuz took a huge broadside HE shell from the Thunderer and got like 400 AA mounts knocked out, you would obviously want to emphasize that side, which is going to be easier for you to recognize because there's more animation that is aligned with what's actually happening. So, it looks great visually. I'm really impressed with pretty much all the animation so far that I've seen, and we haven't seen the submarine, which I can guarantee you it's also been redone, and excited for that. Here are torp bombers, and you'll notice the torpedoes, they hit the water, much more realistic. Basically, the torpedoes drop into the water, and then their motors spin up, and they leave sort of a water-air mixture trail as they should, and it looks really nice from air, and it doesn't have that weird like throwing down effect and having like brilliant bright white from a wake. It's much more balanced in its appearance. Now that does mean it's going to be harder to pick up on them if you're not paying attention to the Doritos. If you had a bad habit of paying more attention to the trail of the torpedo rather than the indicator, you will have a harder time. That is a slight buff in my opinion. I think it's one that isn't unfair, considering torpedoes are not as strong as high explosive and armor piercing, and just raw damage output usually. But, you know, the visual flavor, it's really fantastic. When the torpedoes makes contact, you see a huge splash of water and smoke and steam, and it's really, really just appealing to land damage. And here's an extra close in. It looks exactly as it should. Based on all the other stuff, and it sort of trails off, which is great. Just absolutely fantastic changes to the gameplay. You can see as we're approaching the Mogador, his AA gun mount's firing on us. If you go from port to starboard, you'll see the other side open up. Just all this little flavor to the game that we all play, and it sort of uncovers even more interactive potential and enjoyment from my point of view. This is part of the reason why I love this aircraft carrier so much, is because we're so close. You can see the real struggle between the ships, and it's done in a way that's really compelling. I mean, just look at this guy with his fire on. It just looks so interesting to see the fire, the smoke trail, him moving around, it keeping the momentum of the ship considered, and having to try and negotiate with the AA, also seeing his main gunfire, and of course missing the momentum there. It's really cool. Really, really cool stuff. I can't wait to show off the secondary battleship stuff as well. We'll move into that, of course. But a huge upgrade visually, and yeah, you know, aircraft carrier stuff. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So one of the things that I've always enjoyed is battleship play, and I would say that battleships are probably the single most important class in the game because of how many people enjoy it. Now here's an example of a secondary battleship in my GK. We're going to obviously watch as the shells fire. Love the extra flair to everything. It just, you could really feel like it's a weapon. It's not just one-man army. It's a whole platform, and everything's working together to succeed. And here you go. This is how torpedoes incoming would appear, and you can see just they're really faded. You know, you got to pay attention. It's very easy to overlook it because of how subtle the effect actually is. I would prefer that the more natural, which is obviously what they've gone with, versus what was previously there. Also, you might have noticed there, with the heel activated, there is an animation for that. It shows some welding sparks, which other players can see. So Wargaming not only has refined the animation for pretty much all of the shells and all of the effects, it's also added effects to the game to further communicate the intent of each individual player's decision. With the heel obviously showing a unique animation that you wouldn't see otherwise. Hydroacoustic has a unique animation, defensive AA, radar, all of these have sort of had an upgrade in how it is presented. We just activated our hydro, and then you'll see sort of a sonar effect move out. And this effect will occur not every time you hear the ping sound, but it should occur a set interval, 15-20 seconds. I don't know if it goes right to the edge of your hydro detection in 3D space. You do obviously have the minimap as an indicator for that animation if you don't want to rely on something visually because you don't have the computer resources or otherwise, which, you know, is of course fine. When I was playing this game, I did not feel like the game performed worse. It felt, you know, optimal. Is it fully optimized? No, I think it'll, hopefully, fingers crossed, I think it'll come out and most players will not notice a measurable impact to their visual budget. I'm hoping that that's the case. Right now, my FPS is capped to 75 because it's on the public test. Just look at the animations. They look great. Yeah, the secondaries hitting the ship, sort of the cascade effects of multiple explosions, and then you get the whole full shockwave effect. Really great. Really, really great. And yeah, it's so satisfying seeing the smokestack, seeing the torpedoes, seeing the guns, seeing the flak. It's a real big improvement. And even taking a torpedo on a battleship, you see the rain of water over the ship itself. It's really great. So, I've really enjoyed this. There are some things that will really help with understanding the situation that's happening. There's a lot of subtleties in the system that they've implemented. One of the coolest things to me is look at the GK on the horizon. Doesn't that actually look like what a ship would look like? If you're playing 10.1 right now, and you look on the horizon at an equivalent distance, you cannot see the smokestack animation at all. Period. Zero. It's not animated. Only when you're in a binocular will you see it, and that's at max settings. I am playing at max settings in this. For 10.2, I play at max settings at 10.1, and I can tell you that was a element that was missing. Same with flashes on the horizon. Same with little details. The fire might have gone straight up, but it didn't consider the momentum of the ship, which obviously it does now. So there's a lot of coolness in the presentation that would fit more in line with historical video of ships on the horizon and ship combat, because obviously in real life we're not going to get super close, but we absolutely have seen ships, pretty fair amount of ships on the horizon or otherwise, firing or not firing, and having that sort of that expected presentation, which is now possible. And then I wanted to show this too, because 2 secondary battleships going at it. This is probably one of the most fun things about the game, is just the animation flavor and flair that happens, and we're trying to do the best we can and not die here. Trying to angle. Remember, whenever you activate a heal now, there's a welding effect. White hot welding effect. We also have secondaries firing on both sides of the ship. When the air is flying over, AA is activating based on port, based on starboard side. It really is amazing that Wargaming was able to make all these changes and do it in a way which was so successful. I mean, the art department is obviously really skilled. I've seen them firsthand. High measure of respect for everything they do. They always do a great job. I'm always happy with the visuals of the game. I think, how could you not be? Because, it's definitely the best looking ship game to me. And with the added benefit of all the animation and just the technology that they're making use of, it's without a doubt the best. And I just love it. And you can see the HE shell impacting on the armor, and it's just exploding and not doing any damage. He's going to ram us. You're going to see a ram kill. Huge explosions. Really sets the tone for, what just happened. And I love that Wargaming is able to do this. I think that this is absolutely wonderful. And beyond the sort of the visual upgrade, there are situations and scenarios, as I discussed, ships at range, watching as the AA is going off. You can see the flash of the gun muzzle, which will inform you of a couple things. Obviously, the AA gun mount is still operating, and it's coming from, obviously, a certain side of the ship. And enemy air, well, friendly air, I am spectating after that ram. Friendly air is attacking port side. Ooh, Yamato just activated his heal. Look at the white hot of the welding torch. That's the heal effect. And then when the aircraft flies over, the AA transitions to the starboard side, and it really looks great. The AA gun mounts patrol. They look at the target whenever they're trying to deal their damage. Same goes with the guns. Same goes with all the different effects that they've added. This was just a great little situation that I found myself in, where I was able to spectate as the Yamato's trying to defend himself. It just really is iconic, honestly. I feel more invested in the game and the fight because the animation feels so satisfying to see. The fire activating on the ship, the smoke realistically flowing away from the ship as its momentum is carrying it in a direction. When the shells fire, the muzzle flash, sort of the smoke filling up with light and then going away very, very accurately. It's sort of the same effect that they have added in Flak. Just everything has been leveled up in its presentation. Torpedo hits, more fire. Notice the wake of the shell, the literal concussive force on the water. They've added that effect as well. So it's really awesome. The attention to detail that Wargaming apparently is capable of matching with their art department. It just makes it exciting because, what could potentially this mean for submarines visually? Are we going to see more effects that are going to go further down? Is this the start of something that would leverage ray tracing in the future? A year or 2 years from now, do they introduce a ray tracing add-on to this that further makes this look spectacular? I don't know. I don't know if I need ray tracing. Quite honestly, it looks great. I love when the aircraft gets shot down. It just flows so much more naturally. It looks right, and I'm just really happy by it. But obviously, the Yamato is fighting for his life, and it's just not going to be enough. We'll just talk out the last little bit. These are just little interesting moments with different things, and you can see the flak. I would say that they've made the flak more volumetric. It seems to cover the screen more. So I think maybe they took it as an opportunity to make flak provide more of an obstruction. If I had to combine it, I don't know for certain if that's true. I just know flying through these situations, it feels like the flak explosion is more noticeable. I can't avoid it. And love watching the ships just explode. Huge concussion force. Yes, a ship flooding out does that same thing. I understand it doesn't make any sense. Here's from the point of view of a light cruiser firing all of the shells. Even the shell tracing effect looks like it's been worked on. You can sort of see the effect as it's sort of spiraling through the air, corkscrew or just, yeah. And it really just looks nice. It looks full-featured. He's got a little bit of smoke on the back. It almost looks like this is in slow-mo, by the way. This is weird. It really flows nicely. So I'm really pleased with this. You'll notice all the ricochets as they slap back into the water. The Goliath trying to survive his return fire. Love that flash. Easily can see. You can see it over the island, even third person. Something you couldn't do before. Just a really great, improved, completely across the board presentation. One that I hope players will be able to leverage and use the better, more accurate information. And, also I just hope people get enthusiastic about playing the game because the visual flair is really impressive. Here we are in my Worcester, and we activated the welding. And you can see the welding effect. It lasts for the duration of the heal effect. I think that's going to help in 1 versus 1, where you're trying to determine, how close is this person to their heal continuing. Well, you can see that, oh yeah, they've got the white hot, and once it deactivates, it instantly turns off. So it is 1-to-1 with the duration of the effect. So you can rely on that and use it to inform your gameplay. I think that's what every single animation in a game should do, and it should always provide that level of detail that a player could seek to better understand what's going on and use that to further their success. 2 thumbs way up for this patch. 10.2 visual update is amazing, absolutely amazing. Very excited to see it. Hopefully you guys are as well. Hopefully this is getting you guys amped up. If you like what you see, like the video, subscribe. If you don't, dislike. You could choose either the most recent or relevant video. I make World of Warship videos, first impression how-to news. I have a recruiter friend, North America Recruit, on the screen if you'd like to take advantage of that. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.